Hello, everyone. Today, I would like to share with you some ideas on how to create a beautiful tone at the instrument. And I've chosen a work by Dianne Goolkasian Rahbee, who wrote this beautiful piece called Twilight. And in the very beginning, above the first measures of the work, the composer has told us quite a bit of how she would like this piece to be played. She writes extremely fragile, gentle, and delicate. She also writes molto espressivo e cantabile. So let's go ahead and take a look at the right hand first. And there are some pedal points, but they're not in the bass. They are actually in the middle register of the instrument. Very interesting. So, for the very first one, we could think about teaching our students how to play with a drip drop roll motion. So, have the students imagine water is dripping through their fingers at the keys. When they start to drop onto the keys, you notice that the wrist flexibly moves to where it is straight with the forearm and the hand. Do you notice that? And then we don't stop there. We keep continuing down until we play this E, and then we're dropped to a point which is slightly lower than the white keys. So the wrist needs to be flexible. Here we go again, drip, drop, and roll forward. Okay, so the roll is rolling forward and off the keys. So for this particular first note, you could actually have the student or yourself add a little swan gesture at the very end of it because the piece is slow and we need to create the feeling and the sound of resonance in the room. So it's totally fine to drip, drop, roll, and then do a little swan gesture because that's as long as it takes for the hand to come around and then off the keys. So there are there are 5, 6, 7 middle pedal points in a row. And around those pedal points is a beautiful melody of little motivic fragments. So I'm going to play it for you first. 1 and 2. All right. So did you notice that there were times, mostly all the time, where I'm actually choreographing my arm to move in circular rounded motions. And this gives that beautiful phrase shape going to the top and then settling on the longest note value. We must conceive of the sound that we want to create first and then experiment with physical gestures until we find the sound that we absolutely want. So, taking it from the beginning, I actually thought that my sound was a little bit too loud. So, what happens is that we experiment with a pianissimo sound, and it really is about how fast our playing apparatus drops to the bottom of the keys, as well as to the weight that is applied to the drop. So I really thought about what I wanted to hear. And now I will go on. 1. So another beautiful roll. And the reason for this, as well as shaping the line beautifully, we want to make sure that we're watching our thumb release from the key as soon as it's played. So it's almost feeling like it's just gently swiping the key or petting a beautiful animal. So, and let's experiment. If we kept our wrist and forearm straight, the sound is completely different. Not beautiful and really almost harsh for this piece. So think about the choreography that is created in the student's playing mechanism. So now let's take a look at the left hand. All right, so this beautiful left hand has to be peaceful and calm so that that beautiful cantabile melody on top can really sing. So again, you notice that I am facilitating that beautiful sound, that beautiful tone, by creating an image. So I can say to myself, let's go over the moon to go up to the high note, and then to go down to the low note, we're going to go under and around the moon. So let's make sure that our wrists and forearms are again flexible. About the tone you want to create. And obviously when the student or we are playing this piece and we're going to different harmonies, we want to bring out just a tad more of that beautiful sound at the bottom. So how do we do that? This is called a gentle push off. So we play the key and we roll forward and off the keys gently. Notice that sometimes the over the moon and under the moon are reversed. So here we have a gentle push off, and this time I would go under the moon and then over the moon. And you'll notice this one over the moon and then dropping to this key and then rolling forward. And this is what it means to use different physical gestures to create the sound that you want to hear. Let's talk about one more aspect of creating a beautiful tone, and that is using the pedal. Of course, Chopin said the pedal is the soul of the instrument, and that's so right. When the composer writes pedal markings in the score, we are so lucky for this particular composer to say exactly what she wants. So there are some measures where we want to hear some very misty playing. Did you hear that? So throughout that entire first measure going into the second measure, she wants it all to be played within one pedal. So we need to adhere to those pedal markings. Secondly, this piece begins with pianissimo sound. So again, we want to think about what kind of beautiful wispy sound we want for the beginning. And let's use the damper pedal as well as the soft pedal. But let's not use it exactly when we play the key, because we can get a little bump and we don't want that. So let's go ahead and press those two pedals down at the same time, which opens the dampers. And did you notice that? That first sound just comes from mist or comes from water. So I'm going to try that one more time. The soft soft pedal on the piano, it's not just to play pianissimo. It means that you're going to use it as a mute, just like a trumpet player would use a mute for their instrument. It really does change the sound of of the music that you're listening to. So it's not a good idea to use it all the time, but in a place like this where the opening needs to really come out from nowhere, it's a good place to use that soft pedal. Otherwise, we should all learn how to play pianissimo without using the soft pedal. So at the very end, I'm going to try without the soft pedal. So if you can control how slowly you drop to the bottom of the keys, the amount of weight you drop to the bottom of the keys with, and always think about what sound you want to create, feeling calm, then you are going to get a beautiful tone in your playing. Again, this piece is Twilight, Opus 69 from the book called Preludes, Volume 2 by the wonderful composer Dianne Goolkasian Rahbee.